It is the beginning of turn number 11. It is 3 p.m. Line of sight has dropped down to 2 because it is now dusk. Need to reset the Soviet mortars and infantry guns and artillery. The Soviets are also going to receive 4 reinforcements, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the 1st, 7th, 18th infantry companies, and their respective machine gun unit. And that's why I have the camera at such a wide, far away shot right now, is because they're going to come into the game up in the northeast corner here at hex X1. I'll place this stack of reinforcements just off the map here at hex X1, and that is where they're going to enter the game. And you can see they have quite a distance to travel, considering they only have this turn and the next turn. So I don't believe they're going to make it to be involved in this combat here. But we do have here Visvara that they can occupy to gain control for victory points. They can move 5, and when they come in they can use extended movement, which will allow them to move 7, and that can bring them all the way to right here, almost to the village. So they can definitely get it before the end of the night turn. But we will worry about them last, since they're not going to really get involved in any of what's going on down here, especially in this turn. The Soviets have to attempt recovery with multiple units, all 3 of these, and then these units need to retreat. Let's get them out of there, so they're at least 4 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, would have them 4 away. But I'm actually going to have them move on to this side road here. I don't want to lump them on top of all those units there. So right now they're on a frozen lake. So in order to move here, which is forest, they're going to have to spend 2 movement points. So that's 2, 3. I think they can just stop there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that's 4 away. 2, 3.5. So they can attempt recovery in the night turn. We will attempt recovery with these units here. Do we want to make another assault on the hotel? We only have our 3 76mm guns. We do have our mortars and infantry guns available, but this is dusk, so we have a -1 to our die roll. If we wait until night, we're going to have a -2 because of night. So it may be worth attempting another assault. Let me take a look at the numbers. If I did my numbers right and I were to move this unit into place after everything was reduced, we'd be looking at a 2-to-1 to start, which is not that great. We would be relying on artillery, infantry guns, and mortars to give us shifts, because Piari and their dug-in status is already going to give them 2 shifts to the left. So if we don't achieve any shifts, we're already going to be in the 1-to-2 ratio, which puts us at a severe disadvantage. But if I wait until night, my indirect fire suffers an additional negative modifier. Tough decisions to be made here. Is there anything I can do to boost my attack? I think if I didn't move these units out, I could have used them. A 2 and a 3 plus a 5 would be 10, reduced down to 5. That would still fall about 1 short of flipping it to a 3-to-1 ratio. But if I don't go for it, I'm stuck in the night turn. Maybe it's my turn to roll good with the Soviets and their indirect fire. I don't believe I'm going to knock them out of the hotel, but if I can cause some more step reductions at least, it's going to give me more victory points. So I will move into position with that unit, and I am going to conduct the attack using all my available artillery, all 3 of them, both infantry guns, both mortars for support. My mortars are used up, my artillery is used up for my defensive support. I can use adjacent defensive support here with these 2 units against this unit right there. which we will do, and everybody else is too far away anyway, because line of sight is only 2. These units here can only fire 2 anyway, so they're out of it. Alright, let's give this a shot. Let's see if the Soviets can at least cause some step reductions to gain some more victory points at the end. We have our indirect fire attacks from the Soviets. We'll start with our infantry guns and work our way up. The hotel has 2 infantry companies, so that's going to be a +2. Unfortunately, this is a dug-in hex, -1. We are at dusk, -1, taking us down to 0. If the infantry guns roll, they're going to add 3. So if they roll a 12, that would give them 15. So 11s and 12s will still cause suppressions for the attack we're about to do with all those stacks around the hotel. First infantry gun, 10. Oh, 1 short. Second infantry gun, no good. We're going to have the same modifiers for the artillery and the mortars. I've reduced the Soviet ammo from 8 down to 5 for the 3 76mm artillery pieces that we'll be firing. The mortars pieces will add 5 to their rolls because of their indirect fire strength. First artillery piece is a 10. That's not going to help. Next, an 8 and a 5 is 13. Again, 1 short. And the final artillery piece, 7 and a 5 is 12. Really not the rolls they needed. This is not looking good. They only have 2 mortars left. Can any of these mortars bail them out? An 8 and a 5, 13 again. This may be bad for the Soviets. Again an 8. Wow. Not a single suppression. Now we have the adjacent defensive support. We have that bicycle infantry company and the regular infantry company there. They're firing on an infantry company, so that gives them a +1. It's a frozen lake, so it's going to add 2 because it's Soviets to a +3. Dusk is going to drop us down to a 2, and that is all the modifiers. The direct fire strength of the bicycle units is only 1. So if I get a 12, 13, 14, okay, so I can still do something. 8, 9, 10, 11, no. And the direct fire strength of the infantry unit is 2. Added on to 6, 8, 10, no suppressions either. That was pretty rough. Nothing shifted on either side, which is really bad news for the Soviets. We need our combat ratio. I checked all the units. We have 69 attacking a 24, which is just under a 2.9 to 1. So we got to round all the way down to a 2 to 1. They do have the concentric attack bonus, so that'll take them up to a 3 to 1. Fiori's still there, so that's going to bump it back to a 2 to 1. And they're dug in, that will take it down to a 1 to 1. Not an ideal attack. Now would be the time for a good roll. Not looking good for the Soviets. On the 1 to 1, there are only 3 locations that do not cause any Soviet losses. That's 9, 11, and 12. And they got a 6, which is terrible because that is 2 to 1. And the hotel can absorb the first loss, so this is basically a 2 Soviet losses to none. That's pretty terrible. I'm going to take a step loss here, and I'll do the same for one of the infantry units here to count for my 2 losses. I could retreat, but that would move me. Well, no, I have to take the first one as a step loss as the attacker. And if I retreat, that would mean that every unit involved would have to retreat 1 hex. So all of these units would have to back out. I forgot to attempt recovery. I should have done that before I conducted combat, but I'll do it now, even though I'm doing it out of order. So we'll attempt recovery. There's 3 units here, and we'll just start at the top and work our way down. Well, the Soviets managed to at least gain some steps back. We need a 5 or a 6. Top one, yes. The one in the middle, yes. And the one on the bottom, no. Well, 2 out of 3 is pretty good. These top 2 units both were able to recover, and that'll take victory points away from the Finns, which is a good thing for the Soviets. And we also have our reinforcements that are way up there. And like I said before, I can bring them, they have a movement of 5. They're definitely 4 away and can stay on the road. So we'll use extended movement, which is 7, and that'll bring them all to right there. And you can see that stack of 3 infantry companies and machine gun are all down really close to Hirvisvara now. We do have these units over here that I should have moved before the combat also. Apologize for that. Got excited, wanted to do the attack. What I'm going to do with them is move them into the village. That way they have control of one of the village hexes now. And unless the Finns move here, we'll use one of those units to take that additional village hex for victory points. Again, I jumped the gun there. I should have done recovery and finished all of my movement before the combat. Luckily, it didn't affect anything because nothing that was moved would have caused any changes in what occurred here. And that is going to do it for the Soviets. All of these mortars and infantry guns and artillery were fired. That'll do it for the Soviets. They still have 1 unit there, a couple there that are going to need to attempt recovery at night during the last turn. Need to get them off of this frozen lake and out of there. The Soviets have some problems because any units that are not at least 4 away from the enemy will not be able to build a bonfire during the night phase. And they can't move and build a bonfire. So that puts us in a tough situation. And I'm going to do some moves, even though I should have done them prior. And that's going to be with these units here that didn't do anything, because they are within 3. So I'm going to bump them over to that forest hex. That does keep them on the land. I can move 1. Oh, that's a half. And then into the forest for 2, for 2.5. So that means that these ones can make it 2 with their movement of 3. And we won't miss our stacking limit because there's only 5 of them there. And that will put them 4 or more away. That was neat. Without any problem. They'll be able to build their bonfire and recover. Or they won't need to recover, but they'll build the bonfire to avoid the sub-zero loss table. Now I believe I'm done. There are no other units that can move, so we don't have to worry about that. We do have to worry about these guys up here. They can move into Hirvisvara to get those victory points, but they won't be able to build a bonfire in the night phase, so they'll be subject to the sub-zero loss table too. Well, that's it for the Soviets. It was kind of quick. Now we'll flip it over to the Finns and see what they want to do. I don't think the Finns are going to do any attacks unless it would be against this one right there. And maybe that's an option. But first, I need to start the move here and get PRE next door there. I'll have to stop there because I'm still in the enemy zone of control, but I'll be able to go ahead and move in the night turn and have him join the stack that still needs to recover. We'll go ahead and flip their mortars over for them. Might as well fire those off. Might be able to hit this target sitting out on the frozen lake there. Knock him out of the game. So we got PRE moved over. He'll be underneath the dug-in marker. We'll get him over to the stack. Like I said, we have several that need to attempt recovery. I think all of these are, yeah. There's already 4 there, so we can't stack any more together. Now I have to make a choice. I might want to move one of these onto that stack. They won't be able to attempt recovery on this turn, but they can on the next turn with Piari there. And that would be a night turn and with him there. And they're 4 or more away, so I would give them +3 to their roll. A much better shot at it. I'll do that. I'm going to move. This one's only 3 away from here, so it couldn't get the bonus this time right now. So this unit is going to go 1 and 2, join that stack. I'm going to put it on the bottom so I don't attempt recovery with it during this turn. But the other 4 can, along with this one here. And I will use my mortar. No, I'll just use my mortars. I don't know if I'm going to attack yet. I can make that decision after the mortars. So we'll fire the mortars, and they are within range. Before we do any of that, let's attempt recovery with this stack, 1 through 4, and then that one by itself. They only get the +1 for being 4 or more away, so they still need a 5 or a 6. We're starting with that stack of 5, but only the top 4 can attempt. Starting at the top, working our way down. Number 1 recovers. Number 2 also recovers. Very good. Number 3, excellent. And 4, no. So the top 3 do, and that one by itself, no. That was quite successful. These top 3 units will all go to their full strength side, leaving those 2 not recovered. We'll put them on top so we don't forget about them. And we'll have Piari move there in the next turn to give them that little bit extra bonus. I have to keep in mind I want to do a night raid. I can use 3 finished units, either stacked together or they have to all be adjacent to one another. They can't be in an enemy zone of control, so anybody that's here I can't use. But I think I have plenty of units down here. Yeah, I have 2 full strength infantry companies there. Oh yeah, we're good. So I can use 3 units from these stacks here to conduct a night raid in the next turn. Do I have anyone available to move here? All these only have 1 in their stack. I could move 1 from here to there, and then move the one that is here to there to protect that spot. And that is what I will do. I'll move the engineers 1 hex, leaving this unit dug in. And then this unit will move 1, leaving the dug in status, but securing that final build. Is that every unit that I wanted to move? I might want to move these mortars before I attack with them, because these can move out of my zone of control and attack my mortars, who don't have much in the way of strength. But I want to keep them at least 6 away, or within 6. So it would be, so I could take them to this crossroads here up to the east of Ludokomoki. They can move 3, and they're on roads already. 1.5. And then we'll move 1 more for, no, we'll stay there. That way they don't get any ideas of coming up through the forest at me. I don't think there's anything else I want to do as far as movement. No. Leave them stationary for a future night raid. Let's unleash this mortar and these 2 mortars on this hex first. I'm hoping for a step reduction to knock them out of the game. What are our bonuses here? There's an infantry company there. That's going to give us 1. It's a frozen lake with Soviets on it. That's +2 to 3. This is dusk, so that's going to take us down to 2. Can we cause a step reduction? We have a strength of 4 for indirect fire, plus 2 for 6. And we need 17 or higher to do a step reduction. So that would be an 11 or 12, so it is possible. We'll fire our 3 mortars off and see what we can do against that frozen lake hex. First one, 8, 9, 10, 14. Well, that's a suppression. Next one, an 11. They did it. That is awesome. 11 plus 2, 13, plus the strength of 4, 17. That's a step reduction. That takes them out. The Finnish mortars did a great job there. They took out this infantry unit that's going to go to the dead pool, and that's going to be a 2-step unit towards Finnish victory points. That turn went pretty well for the Finns. Recovered 3 units, lobbed some mortar rounds onto that frozen lake hex and took that infantry unit out. Secured the final village hex, unless this unit decides to attack, which they could. There's 2 of them there against me, so it would be a 2-to-1. They might want to take a shot at it, because if they can push me out of there, they can advance and take that. But it is going to be night. Ooh, got a lot going on there. I'm definitely not going to attack from the hotel into these hexes. If it was a frozen lake, maybe, because you get that massive column shift. But that's it for the Finns. We're going to move into turn number 12, which will be the final turn of this scenario. Gotta try and grab as many victory points for both sides as possible.